Hey guys, what's up? Shadowlands back with another video. Today I'm going to be rating Soldier Front 2, another game that I got into a little less than a year ago. It's a much more casual shooter than Combat Arms is, or definitely more casual than Counter-Strike, and a lot of the other FPS games that are out there right now. That being said, it's a very, very fun game, so without any further ado, I want to get into this really well. Got a lot of good detail today. Going in the same order as we always have with the same categories. It should be pretty familiar to any of you guys who have seen my other rating video games videos, so... Off the bat, we have graphics. This is a 9.5 of 10. This game is gorgeous. There are not many games that I feel deserve such a high rating for graphics, but it's the combination of the perfect blend between the way the graphics look and just how they feel and how they actually feel, the way they look like they should feel as opposed to how they actually feel when you're like moving around in the world. There is no doubt in my mind that the artwork in this game will be difficult for any game to surpass. The hardest part about besting this game's graphics is probably how well it was executed. There's a feel to this game that embodies what an FPS should be and really evokes those emotions expertly through its artwork. And that's what kind of art is for. It's to get emotions running and make you feel a certain way. Next up is sound. This gets an 8 of 10. The sound effects are quite well done. They match the scenarios that you run into in-game perfectly, they give good info to the player, and the music is appropriate and well orchestrated. Nothing is overdone, but there are some places where additional sound effects would be appreciated. The realism of the sounds is one of the reasons the score is so high as well. At least 2 points of that score came from how realistic the sounds are. Grenade sounds are very realistic, and gunfire and many other in-game sounds are as well. Next up is the physics engine. This gets a 7 of 10. It's a fine engine. It's arguably the most fluid engine I've ever played on. It feels hyper-realistic as opposed to Combat Arms' clear-cut hard engine that gives you exactly what you expect in every moment. Everything from bullet deviation to running around is affected dynamically, as opposed to being the exact same way every time. For example, when you're spraying your AK-103, it's not going to have the exact same recoil pattern every single time, but the amount of recoil is relatively the same. While it's certainly more original and interesting, there are some things that could do with less fluidity and more precise outputs. Now, next up is new content. This only gets a 5 of 10. The new content to this game is fantastic, but there's not enough of it. The maps are well designed, the updates are fairly frequent, but the amount of content in each update is just kind of subpar. New maps are rare, and new weapons are even rarer, so even though they have a fair, highly quantity of how many updates they're putting out, the quality of them is kind of lacking. They don't put out new stuff very often. What they put out is fairly good, but it's just not enough. Existing content, 7 of 10. The existing content is just simply good. It's pretty much a mirror of most other modern FPS games in terms of the way the game is played. You've got your NPC slaughtering modes, your elimination, your capture the flag, all the usual. That being said, it's all executed very well, but still no better than your average. There's nothing in terms of content that sets this game apart from others, but what is certainly there is pretty good. So long story short, you've seen this game before without really even playing it. It's not going to be too original to you, especially if you played a lot of other FPS games. The community gets an 8.5 of 10. The community is basically what Combat Arms should be. It's got a great community of well-mannered people that treat each other respectfully. Part of the reason, though, is because the style of game it's casual. It's not meant to be competitive at all. It's created for the sole purpose of entertainment, and the way the game flows, it really leaves no room for people to get mad at each other or cause problems. The game flows very smoothly, and everyone more or less sticks to themselves. The only downside is that everyone acts so independently, sometimes you might feel as though the community is almost non-existent due to a lack of communication. On the upside, though, the community that is there is all positive. The management for the game is an 8 of 10. The customer service is fine, although I think it's good for the wrong reasons. I can tell they put some serious thought into their relationship with their customers, but only because they aren't that big yet. They don't have hundreds of tickets to go through every day like Nexon employees do, so they can afford to take their time. This will likely change as the game gets bigger, so this rating will probably drop over time, but as it stands now, the management is fairly good. The overall rating is a 7.6 of 10. This is a direct average from the scores mentioned before. Personally, I think this is about right. The game is designed for the purpose of being casual, not competitive. It's different in that regard from your average FPS game, and that's its main selling point. If you're looking for a hyper-competitive game, you're better off looking at Counter-Strike Global Offensive, or Ghost Recon, or even Combat Arms. That being said, as far as the ratings go, this game is pretty solid across the board, but has obvious ups and downs. There are definitely places where this game can improve, but given its newness, I think that will work its way in as it matures and grows. Overall, the fine game is certainly worth a shot if you're looking for a free-to-play FPS game. I recommend it. I personally think it's a lot of fun, and I think a lot of you guys would as well. I wouldn't bother giving it such a high score if I didn't think it was worth your time. So thank you guys for watching. Please rate, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Shadowlands out.
contact.